Welcome again. This is Humanism TV Africa, and this is your host, Kato Mukasa. Welcome again to Humanism TV Africa, the only source where you can be sure to get the best information around the globe that is more realistic, more reasonable, more rational, and more objective. This is the only TV where you can be able to be sure to get the best information, the best analysis, and the best people to handle issues pertaining daily life. This is Kato Mukasa from Uganda, of course, and with me is Obasi, a lawyer from Nigeria, and of course a journalist from Ghana, who is Nana Kufo. Now, welcome, Obasi.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome, Nana.
Thank you to Kato.
Yes, most welcome, colleagues. This is TV Africa, Humanist TV Africa, and of course, I encourage all of you, our dear viewers, to subscribe. You can see the link is there. Dennis has put it there. Please do give us that support by subscribing to our channel. Of course, share it. Share the link. Tell people on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Twitter, on TikTok. Tell them about this TV where we speak things that may look ordinary, but are really extraordinary because are very well researched and are part of your daily survival. Now, today we are going to be discussing humanism and politics. Of course, the studios are being managed by Dennis Bongole, who is based in Uganda, and of course Brian Kabeko, who is based in Kenya. Remember, this is Humanist TV Africa. When you say Africa, Africa has over 50 countries, which means we are spread across Africa. Now, today we are going to be discussing politics, but also discussing humanism. Now, how are these two concepts related? How are they related, and how can we play good politics or bad politics? And then humanists are being humanists. Are we supposed to be political? Are we supposed to be neutral? Because I've had those sentiments where people think, no, we shouldn't be speaking this, we shouldn't be doing this, have to be politically correct. There are many humanists that will not go on their pages to comment on issues, going around the world on issues in their own countries. Why? Because maybe it's a tribalment in power, maybe because someone gave him a favor to be having the job they have, maybe because of different interests. And someone is keeping quiet. People are getting arrested, people are getting beaten, people are getting killed, and there's corruption. There are so many bad things going on around you, and you are humans. Remember what philosophers like Socrates, like Plato, And the others said over the years, they've been saying that politics is part of our own survival, our own well being. In fact, I always laugh at people who say, I'm not political. You might have had such people who say, me, I'm not political, me, I'm not in politics. You laugh at them and say, how far did you go in schooling yourself? How far did you go in schooling yourself? Because basically in life, everything is politics. Everything is political. They affect us even without our knowledge. Politicians affect us even without our knowledge. They decide for us how many years we may live by doing things deliberately, by putting medicine in the hospitals or not. They decide for us whether we are going to die in accidents or not by working on our roads. They decide for us whether we are going to have enough food or not by either giving us tax subsidies for agricultural inputs or by hiking them. Therefore, we have less food. They decide for us by providing us schools, education. They decide for us by taxing us. Because in taxation, we have direct taxes and indirect taxes. Now, there is no way someone is going to say that, you see, me, I'm not political. Me, I hate politics. Because politics, whether I hate it or not, politics defines the way we live. Politicians define the way we live. So there is no way we can do without politics. It does not mean that you have to be an MP, a member of or a president or a politician. No. But at least, in my view, you should be able to follow what's going on. You should be able to ask the important questions because politicians basically affect you. So what does humanism say about politics? Should we not comment about things happening? Look at Gaza, people are being killed. Look at Ukraine. Look at Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea fighting. There have been many wars in Sudan. There have been many wars in Somalia. There was a genocide in 1994 in Rwanda. All these are political events happening within our settings. Do we simply say, me, I'm a good humanist. I don't want to even bother about knowing those things. So, going back to you, I was just giving a bit of introduction. Going back to you, I will start, of course, with Obasi. Obasi, what is your understanding of politics? What is politics in simple terms from your perspective?
Oh, thank you once again for having me. This is an interesting topic, and I love it so much. Look, as I always say, politics without humanism is cannibalism. Yes, politics, yes, to start with, politics without humanism could be anywhere, is cannibalism. And that is what we have all over the society.
Mm.
So, in a simple term, politics, because I wouldn't want to be, because everyone is watching, both the young, the old, the averagely educated, and even non-educated people. So they will be able to understand. In my simple term, politics is an activity that deals with human governance.
Mm.
That is my simple understanding of politics, human governance. And you cannot govern without humans. And there can never be humanism without humans.
Mm.
So that is why I said that politics without humanism is cannibalism,
Mm.
in the sense that humanity is not the priority. So that is my, in a simple term, as we forge ahead, I will talk more on what I have in stock.
Thank you very much, sir, for defining for us politics. Now, comrade Nana Kufong, in your understanding, what is politics?
Thank you very much, Comrade Kato. Uh, in simple terms, I'll define politics as a structure in which a group of people, a society, wants to use to reach their goals or agreed goals. Because, as my brother from Nigeria said, it's a system of governance. It is how people come together to have a common agenda and also to rule among themselves. So, as my brother says, it is how people want to be governed. So, I think that's my understanding about politics. And humanism is, as I said in our earlier show, humanism is the key factor in morality, even in scientific biology. Humanism is the key factor in governance. Humanism is the key factor in building the society, because there can never be a society without humanism. We have to agree to disagree, but we have to agree to forge forward. So, in my thinking, politics is hand in hand with humanism. But as we said in the morning, the moral fiber of any society is usually peculiar to them. So the system of politics they might practice might differ from another society. Another society. We have the monarchical system where we have chiefs and kings. It's a kind of politics. We have a system where society form political parties, as in our democratic capitalism system we are living right now. You can take the socialist, as in how the Russians or the communists, how the Chinese or the North Koreans are trying to build their society. So, in simple terms, politics is how we we agree we all agree to run our society. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Council Bassi, and everyone for really defining politics very well. Let me also add on what you have said. Now, politics. Whenever the term politics comes to my mind, two things happen in my mind. One, management. Two, people. Number one, management. Number two, people. The art and science of managing people in terms of their resources, in terms of their welfare, in terms of laws and rules and social norms. Politics is people management. And in fact, politics can be everywhere. We can have politics at home. I want people to understand it properly. I can be in politics with my partner at home. The two of us are politicians at home. Politics simply means management. We can have politics in schools. I was a politician right in primary school. I was a politician in secondary school. I was a politician at the university. Why? Because I offered myself to be elected. I was a prefect from P4. I was head prefect of my primary school. I was head prefect of my secondary school. I was a minister and up to the district level, which we used to call it National Youth Council. And I was a minister at the university where I went. Makerere University, it's on record. I was a minister of information. in my year for the university. Now, that is politics. That is politics. Before even I go into national politics, me, I was a minister at the university. I was a minister at National Youth Council, which is an umbrella that takes all students in Uganda. Now, to me, that is politics. Politics simply means managing people with their resources, with their assets, but also making sure that the rules and laws in the country favor these people. Now, before we think about politics in terms of governance, in terms of governments, because when you look at the dictionary, they are going to talk about politics governing people, how countries govern people, how countries manage themselves, how political parties manage. That is politics. But for me, I want to narrow it down from childhood, from actually family. Look, when we are in homes, at home, Nana, you may agree with me that at home there is politics. And in most of our homes, our mothers are the best politicians. People don't realize it. Our mothers are the best politicians. They can manage our fathers like nothing. I'm telling you, from observation, women are very big politicians, but people undermine women. But I'm telling you, women are politicians. A woman can manage you and you forget your children. A woman can manage a man properly. You say, man says, me at 7, I must be at home. There is a manager there. There is a manager there at home. So for me, I saw how my mother would manage issues. My mother was not a simple cup of tea. Now, a woman can manage you properly, and a woman can manage the children properly. That's politics. Management of people. Now, politics starts at the family level, and of course, it goes to school, it goes wherever you go. Actually, even at workplaces, you see politics. There is what we call office politics. Some of you have worked with corporations. Nana, you're talking about working with Ghana television or what you said, broadcast, and then politics comes in. They say, no, you won't work here because you're atheist. That is politics. That is office politics. NGOs I've worked with have politics. All the NGOs I've worked with, there is politics. But that is office politics. It's not government, but the way they say this one should have this position, this one should be fired, this one should be hired, this one should be demoted, this one should have more money than the other. That is politics. Politics is all about management. Now, if we are discussing this, I wanted us to broaden our spectrum of understanding what politics is, so that we don't need to only think about governments managing our resources, but also us managing ourselves from family level, at company level, even at Humanist TV. There is a way we are going to manage ourselves already. There is a political kind of structure that goes on, because without management, how do you manage? You can even see the statement is very interesting. Without management, how do you manage? Because there should be someone who says, okay, tomorrow we're going to have this. There should be someone in production. There should be someone saying advertisement. There should be someone saying sales. There should be someone saying in the legal department. That is management. Otherwise, without management, the TV collapses. Because someone receives money and runs out with the money. Someone is given money to go and buy a laptop, doesn't buy a laptop. So what do you do if he doesn't buy the laptop? And you have given him the money. Now, that is politics. It's the art and science of managing people. At all levels, we cannot run away from politics. Now, that is politics. Now, as humanists, we have been always asking ourselves, there is politics everywhere. Should we therefore fear to join national politics because we are in NGO working? A government is arresting people. A government is stealing monies meant for our children and their children. When I say this, Obasi and Nana, whatever government does today in Ghana or in Nigeria, trust me, it will affect your children. They do it today. They find the consequences 10 years later. Because the government borrowed monies, which monies were swindled, that is, were stolen, and a road was never built, a good school was never built, a hospital was never built. Who is going to suffer? The children we are bringing to the world are going to find a very fake country. Today, as we speak, what hurts me so much in my country, Uganda, and I should speak it on TV here, is that you take your children to school and we spend millions of money. Our children go to expensive schools. My children are in boarding schools personally. You spend all that much money, you take your child up to university, your child finishes education, there are no jobs. Having paid all the money. Now, you are old, you are in your 60s, you are looking up to your child to be of importance to you when you are sick, and your child simply has no job. Not so. But the government didn't put an infrastructure to help entrepreneurship thrive in the country. The government simply ignored indicators that can promote entrepreneurship. Now, your child is out, she's having a degree, there is no job. What happens? Frustration. What happens? Pregnancy. What happens? Perpetual poverty. In Uganda right now, as I tell you, Obasi, our graduates go and work as maids in Arab countries. Obasi, I don't know whether, and actually, even Nigeria is facing the same problem because they tell us wherever they go, they are Nigerians.
It's not strange to our land. It's not strange to Nigeria. We face it every day by day. And it has increased the rate of criminality. You see some of us,
Exactly.
that is why, so yes, you see some of us indulge in internet frauds, popularly called Yahoo Yahoo. It's because of unemployment. You see banditry everywhere in Nigeria, kidnapping, organ harvesting. It's organ harvesting that they mistake to be ritual killing due to that quest for money. That quest for money, when you go to places hidden, some of these organ harvesters can, you know, accost you, then kidnap you, kill you, and get some of your important organs. Then still sell them to the bourgeoisies. The bourgeoisies. That
Exactly.
is what we face. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Bad roads,
Exactly.
which necessitates accidents everywhere. And
Exactly.
instead of our people to rise up and speak against bad governance that have led to this bad road, we blame it on superstition. We create
Exactly.
excuses for corruption. We
Exactly.
create excuses for mismanagement of funds, for maladministration. So it's everywhere.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Councilor Bassi. That's the kind of talk I wanted. I have relatives, cousins, nephews who have degrees of Bassi, journalists, business administration, human resource, who are right now in the Middle East. I speak this on TV. Who are being employed by illiterates, barbaric, uncouth people who beat them, who mistreat them. But imagine a parent who took her daughter to school, to boarding school, to whatever school it was, and she ensured that this girl has a degree. But this girl, who is now 20 years, who is 22 years, has failed to get a job. She ends up becoming a maid in someone's house. If this person was civil, it would be okay. But this person starves her. This person spits on her. This person calls her a shagal, all the nasty names that this person treats them as slaves. They call them maskini. Why? Because these are my relatives. They always tell me. So I tell you first-hand information. They tell you because someone is the son of your, a daughter of your auntie, whatever. They are educated. What are they going to do? Should they simply sit there? They are looking for opportunities. You get it? But where they go, if they are going and working in better environments, that's okay. But they are working for illiterates. The person they are working for never went to school. You can imagine, Nana, you can imagine paying school fees for your daughter. She becomes a graduate to go and work in someone's home who never went to school, who calls her masikini, who calls her ashagar, or derogatory Arab words to mean slave, to mean all bad things, because they are racists. They use them as, and like you call a dog, an African dog, something like that. Very derogatory things, because they look, some of them, not all of them, but most of them are racists, most of them are illiterates, and too cruel. But which parent would like their sons, their daughters, to end up in such a working environment? All of us would like our children to stay in their countries, to work. But the governments have become thieves. There's nothing that works. Because, first of all, no government, I should tell you, Nana, I should tell you, Abasi, no government in the world will ever employ anyone. No government will ever do that. In fact, if a government can employ only 10% of the employable population, it has done a lot. I'm telling you this. Anyone can research on it. No government can employ you, but how does the government help? The government provides infrastructure that helps Nana start a company. The government invites investors in the country that are people-friendly. And therefore, these investors come, build hospitals, build schools, build factories, build industries, and the people in the country go and work and get paid well. Brian right now, I think, is working for a foreign company. Brian, our producer here. Now, that's what the government does, because the government cannot make all of us police officers. Not all of us want to go in the army. Not all of us want to work as commissioners or administrators for government. Not all of us. The mother of my son actually works for a government, works for a university, which is a government university. The mother of my son is. But not everyone is as lucky as she is, because for her, she works for government. She earns her salary. Even if she doesn't go to work, her salary goes on her account. You get it? But how many people are going to work in a government university like her? Because there are few government universities. And remember, in our course, there are thousands that were produced in one course. And each year, the same course produces administrators. You get it? So, in brief, why are we concerned that the government does not do what it's supposed to do? And therefore, as we said, Obasi, our sisters, our brothers end up being trafficked. Nana, Ghanaians are all over the world, just like Ugandans, just like Nigerians. In fact, there is no country on planet Earth you don't find Nigerians. You may fail to find a Ugandan, but you will find a Nigerian. You may find a Ghanaian, but you must find a Nigerian. Why? Nigerians are many. We have one of the best populations in Africa, the biggest population in Africa. Well, I think we're second in terms of populations, because we have over 2 million people, 200 million people. Not so. Now, they are well spread. But Nigeria, as I said yesterday, Ghana, you people have the best economies in Africa, but also in the world. You have the best infrastructure, if you could. You have the best resources. Ghana is a very rich country. Nigeria is a rich country, very rich country, that the resources you have are enough to feed your population, are enough to attract investors, which can give jobs to Nigerians. Now, what happens that even a smaller country like my country is very rich. Anyone knows that. Uganda is blessed with all the resources. But what happens, Obasi, in my country? The president and his goons and his thieves create fake companies, invite fake investors, and instead of giving jobs to Ugandans, they end up stealing from them. You find that a company is in the country and the top management, the line managements are foreigners. But the foreigners have no qualifications sometimes, and there are local people who have even more better qualifications than these people. And the local people who happen to work there in these factories are paid peanuts. Why? Because we don't have a minimum wage in the country. And many graduates are on the streets. Now, it means, Obasi, someone is going to employ you and tell you, Obasi, you want to work with me, that's okay. But you know, you want to earn, say, 500 pounds. I cannot give you that one. I'm going to give you 100 pounds. Will you take it or not? And you have said, I want 500 pounds because that's how you could make a threshold. That's how you could actually be able to live, to rent, to feed, to send a few coins to a mother or father. But the guy tells you, take it or leave it, I'm giving you 100 pounds. And he wanted 500. You were a graduate. Now tell me, if you're going to work for 100 pounds in this foreign company, tell me when you will ever break even, when you will ever buy a plot of land, when you will ever build a house. You get it? Now, what happens is the corruption. What happens is the inefficiency because you are not being paid enough. Now, the cycle continues for years. The level of unemployment in Uganda, in Nigeria, you just Google it. I have all the statistics with me here. In Ghana, in Africa, is too high. But why? When you have the best soils in the country, when you have the best minerals, when we have all things that could make us better employers. So it goes back to management of people. It goes back to management of resources. Because politics is management of people, politics is management of resources, and politics involves laws and rules. Now, a government has the army, a government has the police, a government has the judiciary. You're a lawyer like me. Now, a government uses the systems to coerce people into line, to force people to do what the government wants. If you refuse, the police will come for you. If you refuse, they will take you to court, and the systems, the laws have been made by the government, and then you will be in upper prison for years. And they end up arresting people for simply protesting. Obasi, in my country, they arrest people almost every month for protesting. Here in Europe, you can protest and go home. In Uganda, you cannot protest and go home. They will arrest you, and if you are lucky, you will be there for a year or two, if you are lucky. Now, that is governance, where you have a law that prohibits people from assembling, the Public Order Management Act in Uganda. You have a law in place which stops people from assembling to talk about politics. That talk about politics, you must actually get permission from a police commissioner. Just think about that. To talk about politics, to gather beyond 30 people in my country, you must have permission from a police commissioner and in writing. that have allowed Kato to have a group of other people and discuss politics, have a rally on politics, have a you can't imagine. Now, someone expects a humanist like me to keep quiet. I say, yo, why are you political? Why are you political? Why are you political? Politics defines my living, but it determines the future of my children. That if I keep quiet, I would have done a disservice for my young ones. Because the peace we have then in the country was fought for by those who came before us. If they all gave up and said, okay, the colonialists can do whatever they want, it would have been under colonialism, super colonialism up to now. So, but going back to you, I've said whatever I've said quite a long time. I want you to share with me your own experiences, how you see politics in Nigeria, and also your takeaways on how, as a humanist, as a lawyer, you think things should be done better than how they are done today. Over to you.
Hmm. Politics in Nigeria is laughable. It is reflect with corruption. In fact, our politicians are people that have no integrity. They got into power through manipulation, through thuggery, through election violence and rigging. It is exemplified in elections in Nigeria from 1999, when Nigeria got back to democracy after a prolonged military era. Elections in Nigeria have been fraught with election violence, then Putin and malpractices, sorry, election violence and malpractices. Then the end point is putting into power people that are not competent enough to be leaders, people who come into office to wreck the national treasury,
Mm,
to wreck the country dry,
mm,
to reduce the value of dollars, sorry, to hide the value of dollars while
mm,
reducing the national currency. That is what we have in Africa.
mm,
Take for instance, during the last election uh, conducted before the presidential election, thuggery was rampant in my area. That's even some political thugs looking for an opponent thugs
mm,
stumbled upon me, ransacked and searched me, humiliated me. You can imagine.
mm.
Anytime there is election in Nigeria is just like a semi-war. Thugs, army, police, everywhere, humiliating people, victimizing people, because some of the aspirants know that they are not equal to the task, that they are not competent. So they want to use devious means to get into the corridors of power. That is the situation we find ourselves. And when you come to Nigeria, cases of human rights violations are
Yes.
everywhere, are prevalent. If Nigeria is a country where human welfare, where the dignity of human person, where right to freedom of expression, where right to freedom of thought, conscience, and belief prevail, Mubarak Bala should have been out now. But he's facing political persecution.
Exactly.
Yes, because those in power got into power using devious means, using illicit means. So they have to play to the cards of the people that took them there. You know, the weapon some of these politicians, incompetent politicians, use in Nigeria is religion. They will use
Mm,
religion and appeal to the gullible masses and get into power without being questioned. The last time after the electoral umpires failed us, they came this time around with beavers. They said that beavers was the solution. And look at the solution they proposed, failing us again. Maybe in the next election, they will bring beavers plus. Funny enough. Then bringing it down to humanism, I will say all our explanations prove the fact that politics is human centered.
Yeah.
Because if you want to manage, management is for people. Even if you want to manage resources, resources are put into place for the betterment of the society. And what is a society without a people, without humans?
Nothing.
Nothing, nothing. So bringing it down to humanism, I would say that politics is purely human centered and should be humanistic, since humanity is the core and the centerpiece of every management, politics, and governance. So I stated further that society is denigrated because politicians are not humanistic but are manipulative. I think I've said it. In fact, this line has stated, this my last statement has stated everything happening in Nigeria. Politicians in Nigeria and other countries in Africa are not humanistic. They are just manipulative. They are just there for their selfish interest. So moving further, this is why humanists, I'm encouraging humanists like us to be political, to join politics. But the problem is that most of these political parties don't represent our interests as humanists.
Mm.
Yes, most of the constitutions, the party manifestos represent selfishness,
Mm.
represent party politics at the expense of the well-being of the population, of humanity. So because of that, I said it the last show. In this show, I encourage humanists to form political parties.
Yes.
In order, yes, in order for our in order for our respective views to be heard, in order for our voices to be heard, if you don't form political parties and begin to, frontier humanistic values, the society will remain the same. Because Aristotle, there was something that Plato said, and I love that. I see the humanist as the philosopher kings, that Plato spoke about.
Yes.
I see the humanists, yes, just that, someone may tell you to shy away from politics. That person is doing us no good. Because
Mm.
if, take for instance, if you made mention of Zambia the last time, Zambia
Mm.
was so great because the person, though a religious humanist, Kenneth Kaunda was
Mm.
a humanist. So Kaunda was
Yes.
great. There was freedom
Mm.
of expression, there was freedom of belief. But when he left, other corrupt politicians, other manipulative politicians came into power and religionized a state built on secularism, a state built on humanism. But if we assert our resourcefulness through politics, we can change the narrative. We
Mm.
can, yes, we can return what our forefathers, the founding fathers of these great countries in Africa, desired. In Nigeria, they were the one that proposed secularism. So is Zambia. So is Zimbabwe. So is Uganda. But these new manipulative politicians distorted their desire for our
Mm.
various countries. So
Mm.
how we change this narrative is through politics. We delve into politics. Like I said earlier, most injustices don't get media outrage or don't get media reportage because those behind it are the people in power. So for now, I will stop here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Obasi. Are you welcome, comrade?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, comrade Ngoma, for joining us. And of course, you have come at the right time when we are discussing politics and humanism. And of course, I understand that yesterday was a big day for
For Zambia.
Zambia, celebrating your independence. Happy independence, Zambia.
Happy independence.
Yes. Now, I'll ask you two questions. Number one, how independent is Zambia? How independent is Zambia when your debt is choking you to death? And of course,
Yeah.
welcome. Politics. Now,
Thank you
over
very
to
much.
you, comrade.
Thank you. Good evening, Africa, and good evening in the rest of the world.
Yes.
When you talk 59 years ago, we got our independence. Our forefathers, the founding father Kenneth Kaunda, the winners, the Kapwepwes, the Nkumbulas, had this in mind when they were fighting for our freedom, because they wanted us to be economically independent. They wanted us to be in charge of our own resources, our own minerals. And as we know that over the last decade, Zambia has been facing financial challenges when it comes to the economy, because our economy, about 85%, it is in the hands of foreigners. In short, it's in foreign hands. And
Yes.
the agriculture over the last few years, Zambia seems to be losing direction in its agriculture policy, because agriculture under the Levy Patrick Manawasa administration, he had realized after the Anglo-America that were running the mines had left Zambia. Zambia faced a challenge in terms of we had food crisis, and the climate change in 2002 really affected our agriculture sector. So we got food from the World Food Organization actually gave us what we call yellow maize in Zambia. So when in 2003, Rev. Patrick Manawasa appointed Mundia Skata, now was Minister of Agriculture, and in his parliamentary address in that August House was that we cannot call ourselves.
Yeah, I lose you there. You said we cannot call ourselves, and that was it. Obasi,
To be
continue
independent.
please go ahead. Go ahead. Obasi, continue the analysis of this. He will come back and join.
Okay. I'm happy he mentioned you got our mind back to Zambian independence. Happy independence to Zambians. I love
Very much.
the founding father, the first president of Zambia. I love him so much, and so sad that our contemporary politicians has distorted, has denigrated what they fought for. And now you have religious bigotry, fanaticism everywhere. Yes, no wonder, despite the growth of technology and you know and the science, propaganda and unruly wars are the order of the day. You can see the one happening now between Hamas and the
Israel.
Israelis. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not even
Obasi,
only just that we tend to will I say exaggerate what happened in the other side of the world. In Africa, we're also facing our own problems. In Niger, in Niger, in Burkina Faso, there are so many problems we are being faced with. Yes, even in
Exactly.
Nigeria, we are having a lot of problems of agitations. The Biafran people agitating for freedom, Ambazonia. So there are a lot of troubles because the dreams of our forefathers are being distorted.
thank you so much.
Because of yes, I may be off the show soon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Obasi. Thank you so much, Obasi. That's okay.
Hello.
Thank you so much for your time, Obasi. We are back to Comrade Ngoma. Ngoma, you are in darkness completely.
Yes, yes, I know. I was looking for light because I'm somewhere. Today I'm not. I'm just somewhere. I was attending a funeral. Lost one of the civil rights leaders in Zambia died. So I'm in place
Sorry.
today.
Please continue. Continue where you stopped.
Yeah. So when you look at that statement of Honorable Mdia Skatana, then us to be independent if we can't feed our own people, because we must grow our own food. Because the moment we go to the world, yes, we for independence that we want to govern ourselves, which means we should put our own destiny in our own hands. So agriculture under Levy Patrick Nawasa, the Federal Republic of Zambia, was policy number one, and throughout Zambia had the bumper harvest, which made us to be we became food security sustainable. We were able to sustain ourselves and able to feed our. Yes, there will be few scores there and there, but under his reign, we took in charge of our agriculture sector. But over those that have taken over from him, Zambia still spend very less in terms of funding when it comes to the agriculture sector. We have not done well because our agriculture sector is about 4%, which when you look at a country like Zambia, vast land, vast water, and I hope that in the next, as we clock 60 years, in the next 50 years, Zambia should look at itself to say, how do we become the basket of food in Africa? How do we feed the whole continent? How do we make agriculture as a business, as a priority for our people? So to do that, it requires that politicians who in their political manifestos, they must walk the talk once they make those political campaigns and promises that they will implement this. We don't need rhetorical statements. We want real political manifestos of various political
Yes, we are losing you, of course, but your points are
parties to
made
invest to make sure
clear.
that yes, yes.
Continue. You are breaking a bit. You are breaking a bit.
Yeah. So for us is that we believe that that agriculture is the number one policy for. We are now independent. We are 59 years of our country. Yes, we still have those differences. We have at times we have offended each other. But one of the things I can tell you about Zambia is that we are so united when it comes to, we believe in the spirit of Ubuntu. We believe in the spirit of Ubuntu, and we believe that one should not go to bed hungry. When there's land, there's water. Our political leaders must work towards implementing policies that are in line in reducing poverty. When look the sustainable development goals, agriculture actually is one of their priority, because they're talking about climate change. For us to address climate change, we must make sure that even as we address agriculture challenges, agriculture plays an important role for any country, because you cannot call yourself independent if you can't feed your own country, your own people.
I entirely agree with you. I entirely agree with you, my brother. Thank you so much. And
Thank you
continue,
very
continue,
much.
continue, continue, please.
So
Continue.
you talk about politics in Africa. Politics in Africa, it must be viewed. It's supposed to be service to humanity. It's a privilege that one should have to say, when you are given powers, political power to run the affairs of any institution or any department affairs, we must make sure that that privilege bestowed on us, we must never abuse it, but we must use it to make a continent and a country a better society for everyone. That even when we are gone, our children will come and point, say, there come a generation that was here, left this legacy. The way we are talking about Kenneth Kaunda, we're talking about the Nyereles, we're talking about the Ngumbulas, were talking about the Mwami Nkrumah, were talking about the Gaddafi. They had a vision for their country. They knew what they wanted for their people. Today we are proud here talking because of this freedom, this technology that you can be far away, we can able to interact. This is what they wanted for us. They fought for us. Now that after they fought for us, what is it that we are doing to implement now to change, to reduce the levels of poverty as a people? Are we holding our politicians accountable?
That's important.
Because most of the times, at what role are we playing in terms of helping those with political power? Are they loyal? Are they
Very important.
implementing what the people want? Why they were elected into office? Why politics must not be viewed as an enmity. Politics is a calling. It's the act of
Yes.
science, service to humanity. And when you offer service to humanity, you're not an enemy to each other. No, you're just keeping each other in the way of democracy. That look, even in the Bible, The book of Leviticus is meant for priests. Priests were also given rules. God would send people on a mission, but he gave them rules to follow. Politicians have got rules to implement and to follow. Politics must never divide us. It must unify us because we are all fighting for one what? For one condition, for one goal, a better society for everyone, regardless of race, regardless of tribe, regardless of religion, regardless of who you are. We all want a better society for everyone because we want to live that dream to be realized. And that dream, I can assure you that that dream will be realized. When you look across the continent, you have got
Yes, Ngoma, of course, we are losing you there, and I know the challenges of the internet.
you go
There's
to
no way
you
can.
go. Network is a problem. Yeah, I know. It's a problem. Network.
Continue, please. Continue so that you can finish at once.
So we look from there to say, at what laws are we praying as a country and as a continent of Africa? You talk about the Pan-African Parliament. At what intelligence are they talking to political parties? We have seen some presidents have become monsters, while the African Union has been watching quiet. Then you ask yourself, this is not the policy of humanism. This is not the policy of the Pan-African that we want an Africa that has tolerance on each other. Politics about tolerance on each other. It's about having divergent views, explaining what you feel should be done. That's politics is not supposed to be bloodshed. It's supposed to be peaceful. It's supposed to be a battle of ideas, a battle of ideologies, not a battle of weapons, a battle of fists. No, no. We want a better Africa. We want Africa to realize this dream. We want Africa to become the superpower in the world because it has what it takes. It does not just have leaders. It has what it takes, but it does not have leaders at the moment. We want leaders who will be selfless, leaders who would want to save our people, not leaders who would want to take advantage and enrich themselves. No. We want leaders who offer themselves service to humanity, who will be remembered even when they are gone. Say they came the way we're talking about the Kaundas. So I'm proud that my country celebrated 59 years of its independence yesterday. And we are proud that our forefathers, they came, they lived with us. They laid a strong foundation that we're definitely proud of it. And we'll continue. As the last time, as I said that in his message in 1984, in his message to the delegates, when he was negotiating to the ANC and the frontline street, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was accused that he went to see Ian Smith. He said, I went to see Ian Smith in search of peace because I wanted peace. But I went to Salisbury, I failed. He wanted to say, I can never be a sellout to Africa. Zambians will never be sellout to Africa. Zambians will always remain loyal to those ideologies. And Zambians will be born and they will continue talking and defending and fighting for freedom. That is the spirit of Zambia. One nation, one people. We are one people, we are one country. And we're proud of ourselves. But we want our political leaders in Zambia, we want them to face reality, to address the levels of poverty, because it was one of the ideologies that made our forefathers to fight for this independence. They wanted our own people to have better life, a better future. They wanted them to have medicine in hospitals. They wanted them to run businesses. They wanted them to be free in their own country, not to be harassed or police brutality. They wanted the freedom that today we enjoy. And we must never allow anybody to take us back 59 years ago, to take us where we're coming from. We are proud what we are. That's how it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
That was very good. I was listening
Thank you.
in, of course, because I know you have internet challenges. I wanted to speak everything so that by the time the internet goes off, at least the message has come out. And I have to thank you so much. Now, in terms of going forward, in your view, how do we, as humanists, as lay people, how do we intervene? How do we participate in the politics of Zambia, for example? How would we advise Zambians to ask for accountability, to follow up projects, to make sure that their monies go where they must go?
I think for me, it caused that I'll give you an example like Zambia. Zambia is a country that it's its constitution. It calls for public leaders, once they're elected into office, they must declare their assets. It calls for accountability. Every public officer must declare their assets. And for me, I can only ask Zambians, they should know that nobody will fight for their democracy. It's themselves, Zambians, that should rise to the occasion and say, this is wrong, enough is enough. It's Zambians themselves to decide what they want for themselves. What do they want for themselves? It is Zambians, because nobody, not even Europe or France, will protect them. It is us, ourselves, Zambians. we must rise to that occasion to say this is enough, and we must hold our leaders accountable. And those that we believe that might have abused their powers while in office, the law must visit them without fear and favor.
That's a good
It
one.
is what other people.
That's
Yes.
a good one. The law must visit them without fear and favor. Such a nice quote.
And favor.
I want to let you go
Corruption,
because you're
corruption
outside.
must be fought consistently. We must fight corruption consistently. Old corruption and new corruption must all be fought at the same time. We must never postpone the fight against corruption to a later day. It is now, because it is a cancer that has made our country to be facing these economic challenges, to have this huge debt. Because of that, it's because of corruption. People getting loans, getting cuts in those not doing, people doing projects which are and getting huge monies. We need an Africa and Zambia that is accountable to its people. We want every resources that is collected be put to good use for our people.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much, from Comrade Ngoma. I want to let you
Thank,
go because you have done your best and it's a bit
thank you
night.
very much.
I don't want to keep you
Thank
there,
you
but
very much.
I'm happy that you have made those statements. So important.
Thank you.
Holding people accountable for the betterment of Zambia is the way to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir. Of course, I want
Thank
to
you.
let you go. You have made your mark. We shall see you tomorrow in the studio for
Thank you.
more
I'll be
talk
there tomorrow.
shows.
We'll be there. We'll be there
Yeah,
tomorrow.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you for making
Thank you.
time. Thank you for being part of us. Yes,
Thanks.
now I'm going to conclude this. Dennis, may you have the slides? May you have the slides so that I can be able to briefly go into this, and then I will be able to conclude the show. Dennis, don't bring in any other guests, any other panelists, because let us do it and then wind it up. Dennis, please let us have the show, the slides, so that we can be able to conclude it from a point of understanding what other philosophies have talked about, philosophers have said about humanism and politics. Dennis, if you can hear me, if of course I believe you can hear me, or Brian, we can have those slides. Now, going forward, we are saying simply that politics and humanism go hand in hand. Why? Because politics decides the destiny of people. Yet humanism is concerned with the welfare of people. Politicians decide how our resources are used. They decide how much taxes we pay. They decide how much money we borrow and when to pay it back. They decide the schools our children go to. They decide whether we have religious prayers or not. They decide our destiny in so many ways. Now, because politicians decide using politics, they make laws that actually are harsh to us. Then, as humans, it's my clarion call that we get involved in the politics of the country. We get involved in the affairs of the country. Even if it means forming political parties, we should go ahead and form these political parties. Then I would like to request to give us those slides so that we can be able to wind up this show. But of course, definitely, it's important to appreciate the fact that throughout Africa, politics is ruining the affairs of the local people. Politics is ruining the future of our children. Politics is ruining the chances we would have used if we had good leaders. And I always say, I don't blame colonialism that much for whatever is happening in Africa today. I blame ourselves, I blame myself, and I blame the citizens that are so reluctant to stand up, to rise up, and fight for what belongs to them. As a Marxist, I know that Karl Marx advised us to cause a revolution. The proletariat have a responsibility. The working class has a responsibility. But the middle word for Karl Marx was organize, organize, organize. Until we organize ourselves from a village level to understand that our councillor does what we told her to do, that our area MP does what we told him to do. Our president does what we elected him to do. Until we get involved in the affairs of our countries, we are going to continue wallowing in misery and become a laughing stock for the rest of the world. So it's important that as people in Africa, we get concerned in the way our affairs are managed. We must get concerned. We must rise up. We must be proactive. We must ask the important questions. We must encourage everyone to open up their eyes and know how much money is going where. If there's a road to be built in your village, please participate. Go at the sub-county and ask questions. If there is a clinic, ask if there are medicine. Ask the important questions. This is the only way we are going to make politics work for the people. Otherwise, in Africa today, politicians are too rich. Politicians are too rich because, of course, nothing can be done about them. Now, Dennis, thank you for the slides, but I was requesting for slides. Of course, politics involves governance. These are slides for the previous show, Dennis. We are looking forward to, yes, starting from there. That is my book, A Story in Legitimacy, a book I wrote about Uganda, and of course, how the dictatorship in Uganda has messed up the future and the present of Ugandans. Of course, you can see Africans used to be warriors. In that movie, of course, they depict women warriors, women that would take people at the front line. That is Museveni, who was signing a law against homosexuality in Uganda just this year. And you can imagine a dictator who has been in Uganda as a leader for 37 years, he still thinks that homosexuality is the problem. These are Ugandans who are homosexuals right now in London. They are running away from their country because they have no hope. These are men. That's the vice president of Uganda, used to be my boss, and was a good woman. Today she's a vice president, but she's inoblivion because her role is silenced. That is politics. Of course, look at that kind of photo. Look at how people risk their lives. You cannot see this photo in England. You cannot see this photo anywhere in Europe. You can only see this photo in Africa. Why? Why would 100 people or 50 people be on the top of a vehicle and risk their lives that they are traders? Look at that photo and feel sympathy for people in Africa. In Africa, we don't talk. We don't talk. You may have freedom to speak, but you have no freedom after speaking. That's the symbol, And this is for Linda Tilly. All humanists are atheists, but not all atheists are humanists. That is Linda Tilly, our comrade, who today has made 1 month since she left us. Since she died. And again, this is for Linda Tilly. God is not coming to save Africa. Linda Tilly was spot on. God is not coming to save Africa. Please, Africans, wake up. We can only save ourselves, and only we can save each other. We can save ourselves. If Dennis has a problem, I should be the one to intervene. If Brian has a problem, I should be the one to intervene. And likewise, if I have a problem, they should be able to intervene. We save each other. Next, Dennis. That was again Linda Tilly. What was she telling us? Stop allowing yourselves to be split by religion, race, tribe, gender orientation, country, your state, your region, your province. All good humans must unite. We must unite. Yes, this is the one I talked about. Bertrand Russell said, war does not determine who is right, only who is left. Very beautifully put. War only determines who is left. And this is another guy, one of my Russian writers I love so much. It's called Fyodor Dostoevsky. That guy was a great writer. He said here that the best way to keep a prisoner from escaping is to make sure he never knows he is in prison. If you want to keep a prisoner in prison, make sure that this prisoner does not know that he's in prison. And this is what's happening in Africa. Look at this. I used to work with this organization, and these are buses we used to label as Humanist International. These buses in London, but look at the words which are there. Probably there's no goal, because we are trying to shape the politics by shaping the reasoning. Look at these two people. One is a Jew, another one is a Palestinian, and they are happy. They are happy. They are cooperating. Why can't we live in peace? Look at this guy, James Baldwin, one of the best speakers of his time in the 1950s, 60s, was a thinker. And this is what he said. Imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hates so stubbornly is because they sense that once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. James Baldwin, one of the best speakers of his time. And this is Charles Darwin, the scientist behind the evolution theory, said that it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. We must accept change. This is what Darwin was telling us. In Africa, we don't want to change a few things. The propagandist purpose is to make one set of people forget that certain other sets of people are human. That was another humanist called Aldous Huxley. Very important. Remember I told you Huxley is the founder of organized humanism. And here, look at this. Be wary of any belief or ideology that promotes division between you and your fellow humans. You can see the division between these two people. And this is the religion dividing us. The religion divides us in Africa. Look at this beautiful photo. A Palestinian young man, boy, with a beautiful Jewish girl. They are together. They are children. They can play together. But why are the elders killing each other today? Look at how the Israelites settled in their place in 1947. They settled in those tents. I got that photo way back. They settled in those tents. You can see their flags, 1947. They were settlers. They were looking for peace. Why are they fighting today? Why can't they be in peace with the Palestinians? Thank you so much for being lovely, audience. Thank you so much for being here with us. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, Humanist TV Africa, and remember to tell other people about it. Please subscribe. We get many followers, we get many viewers, because we are here to pass on this information. Thank you, Dennis, so much for being a producer for the shows. Of course, Brian, thank you so much. And the entire team, the entire crew who made it today. Thank you, Obasi. Thank you, Nana. Thank you, Mambo. And of course, thank you, Fidel Sumoma in Zambia. Today we had Zambia, we had Ghana, we had Sierra Leone, and we had Nigeria, and of course, Uganda. I want to thank you so much. You have been a wonderful audience, and I want to promise you we're going to make it better each show. We're going to make it the best TV station, which is secular, which speaks the language that matters. Keep it safe, keep it positive. See you in the next one.